Welcome to the fourth installment of Ask a 4-5 Anything. And I mean anything. Almost. Where I will be going through my Discord. I'll leave a link to my Discord down in the section below. I'll also answer questions on my YouTube comments and my Instagram direct messages. And a little bit of an apologies. I was supposed to do this on Friday and release it on Saturday. So if you guys are actually watching this, why are you watching me on a Sunday night? I mean, Nick, say it for me, please.
Shine.
Why are you watching me on a Sunday night? You got nothing else to do on a Sunday night. You got nothing else to do on a Sunday night. You got nothing else to do on a Sunday night.
Also, only about 32% of you guys that are watching this video are actually subscribed. So do me a favor, show the love and support for this tennis channel by hitting like, hitting subscribe, and clicking that notification bell to be notified on original tennis content for tennis string reviews, racket reviews, match play and match play analysis, and all the other good stuff that you guys know and love. With that out of the way, let's get started. Brown Rice is asking, what is your UTR and what is your highest? My highest UTR was at about a 10.5, I believe, around 2 to 2.5 years ago when I was in top physical conditioning about, I think I was either 28 or 29, and I was playing a lot of both USTA tournaments and money tournaments and doing pretty well with my results, even the ones where I was losing. I would take a few games off of the people that were significantly higher rated than me. Unfortunately, I believe there actually was a number crunch, so I went from, I think, a 10.5 UTR to probably around an 8.5 because of the pandemic, not being able to play nearly as many tournaments and not being in good physical condition. So before the number crunch, I was a 10.5, almost an 11 to be honest, and then right now I'm currently hovering around a 9.22. Brown Rice, hopefully that answers your question. Thank you very much. Jill from my Discord channel is asking, how do you customize your racket? The current racket of choice that I have right now is the Yonex E-Zone 98, and it is the 2020 version, the most recent one, given that this video is being published and put out for you guys to watch. Customization, I don't put any lead tape on it currently. I guess the only customization I have is that I took out the synthetic replacement grip and put in a leather grip, and I use an overgrip on top of that. That's as far as my customization goes currently. I am thinking about putting some lead tape somewhere on the 9 o'clock or even towards the tip of the racket, right around the 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock, to get a little bit more oomph behind my ball. But as of now, the only customization I have is my leather grip. Hopefully that answers your question, Jill. Thank you. Frag Muffins is asking, have I ever been outside of the US? Short answer is yes, I have. I've been to the Philippines 3 times. Originally, my parents are from the Philippines. I am a first generation born American in my basically extended family, I believe. It's hard to keep track. There's a lot of them out there. And I have been to Mexico for my college roommate's wedding, which is a blast. And to be honest, I don't remember much of it because it was an all-you-could-drink festival. But luckily enough, I was sober enough for the ceremony to, do my part as a groomsman. And I've been to Canada several times. I actually do hold a Canadian citizenship, luckily. And unfortunately, I've never been to Europe. So before I settle down, and hopefully before I'm 40, I do a Euro trip for about 2 to 3 months with some of my friends. So hopefully that answers your question, Frag Muffins. Thank you. That's actually a pretty good question. I enjoyed that one. Bill Cutlip from one of my YouTube comments is asking, how much percent-wise do I let my strings drop down to, I'm assuming tension-wise, before I restring? Bill, to answer that question, which is actually a lot more common than you think, I don't cut my strings until they break unless I am playtesting. So right now I do have 4 rackets that I did mention previously in these type of videos. One of them is reserved to be my playtest racket, but for competition, I actually don't cut my strings until they break unless I have a major tennis tournament coming up. Thank you for the question. Kalamizuhu is asking, should you cut your strings right after you break them? I would say yes, try to, but it shouldn't be like a huge rush. I personally wouldn't carry like a pair of scissors or nail clippers in your tennis bag at all times, but when you do get back home or back to your hotel room or your dorm room if you're in college, I would cut the strings right when you get home. Just to prevent even minor types of warping, and it's good racket maintenance. But right after you break them, don't take like, 2 to 3 minutes to, actually cut all of the strings. Just wait till you get home. Thank you. Extreme Instinct is asking, what was your junior ranking and when did I reach my peak? I did hold, I believe, in the Chicagoland area for my age group. I think my best result was when I was 12 and under. I was ranked, I think, in the top 20 for my age group. Midwest-wise, I think I was in the top 100. I didn't have a national ranking, and that's perfectly okay. And that was actually my peak. I actually didn't really enjoy tennis from the ages of, I would say, 12 through, I'd argue even 20, 21. I just kind of burned out. I still played tennis to keep in shape and go through the motions. But that was, I guess, my peak in terms of my age and the people that I competed with. But, as someone that's almost 31 now, I'm enjoying tennis more than I ever did. But obviously we use UTR now. That I believe that's a better, more stable, and a more universal, no pun intended, way of rating someone at a competitive level. So yeah, my junior ranking was in the top 20 in the Chicagoland area when I was in 12 and under back in the very early 2000s. Thanks, Extreme Instinct. That's a good one. Kevlar Pleb Gibbles, which is a very interesting name, is asking a very important tennis question. Did I take a look at the new Final Fantasy XIV and Walker teaser? And yes, I did. I wasn't nearly as excited as I hoped to be. So for those of you guys that don't know, on top of being a full-time software engineer, tennis coach, tennis stringer, and YouTuber, I also do play video games. My main video game right now that I play with Brian and Chris, who I featured on this channel regularly and quite often, is World of Warcraft. So Final Fantasy XIV and Walker is a fairly new expansion to a very big MMORPG called Final Fantasy XIV. Unfortunately, I'm still more of a World of Warcraft type of guy. The biggest reason, and don't get me wrong, Final Fantasy XIV is a great MMORPG, but the biggest reason I still keep falling back to World of Warcraft is because when it comes to dungeons, I like the dungeon mechanic of having 5 people in your group versus Final Fantasy XIV's 4. So when it comes to a dungeon run in any MMORPG, typically you have 1 tank, 1 healer, and then the rest are DPS. For some reason, I enjoy having 3 DPS in a dungeon group compared to the 2 DPS in a dungeon group that is in Final Fantasy XIV. Other than that, I would actually say Final Fantasy XIV in almost every way, shape, or form is a better MMORPG except for that one aspect. At least for my personal opinion. Again, I don't have a gaming channel yet. Hopefully that's in the future. But yeah, that's obviously my opinion. And I do hope Final Fantasy XIV and Walker is a good expansion, just like World of Warcraft Shadowlands, for the most part, is a good expansion, just because, in my opinion, I think Activision Blizzard does need more competition. So Square Enix has done a good job with Final Fantasy XIV. Thanks, Kevlar. Hopefully I'll see you online soon. Guard Buffalo is asking if I have any intentions of making videos on constructing points. Kind of a series of common tennis schemes from pro to amateur players to win points. Yeah. If there's a big enough need for that, I'd be more than happy to. I do have one kind of like a tennis strategy, tennis tactics kind of playlist. I'll leave a link to that in the top left if you guys want to take a look at it on how to beat a big hitter. But if you guys want more analytical stuff, and if I have a little bit more free time, I'd be more than happy to. Thanks, Guard Buffalo. So if you guys have enjoyed this, please hit like, subscribe, and click on that notification bell to be notified on original tennis content. And if you guys want your question to be featured on this weekly content, hop on my Discord and leave a question on the Q&A with Mark text channel. And as always, happy hitting.